Good morning, class 9 students. So, how are you? Chapter is 9 also. So, this is the first video of chapter 9, and we are going to start this chapter. The name of this chapter is Respiration in Plants. So, respiration, do you know the definition of respiration? Look at the picture. Here, you are seeing this equation also. This is the equation, or this is the chemical reaction for respiration, which I'm going to explain in this video lesson. So let us see the learning objectives. These are the learning objectives. Introduction, types of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic, external and internal respiration, overall process, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. And this is a picture which is showing the respiration in plants. So this is about the respiration in plants. So here, by just seeing the picture, you may have an idea that oxygen is utilized, and this C6H12O6 is also utilized, and what is produced? H2O, carbon dioxide, and heat energy. So let us find it out that how. So this is the first topic, that is called introduction. So like all other organisms, plants too require energy for carrying out body activities. All living cells in a plant, as well as those in animals, require energy for various body activities. For example, building up proteins from amino acids, making starch from glucose, absorbing minerals from the soil, or laying down of the cell walls by the plant cells. All such activities require energy. This energy is made available by the breakdown of simple carbohydrate. The chemical reaction, as I told you that that this is the chemical reaction. Okay, C6H12O6 plus 6O2, 6H2O, 6CO2, and energy. So here again you see the picture, and you are that just make it an idea that oxygen and glucose are used, and then carbon dioxide, water, and energy are produced. So this is about respiration. That this is the I can say about respiration that it is an oxidation reaction, or we can say that the oxidation of food takes place, and it releases energy. So whatever the food we eat, this food is broken down into simple substance, but this occur in digestion. But this is more than that. After breaking down of food materials, uh, in the presence of oxygen, then energy is released, and this energy, as I told you, that it is used for several metabolic works, for making of different chemicals. Okay, so all these things require, all this process, all this breaking down or making synthesis of chemical substance, all this require energy, and this energy is produced in the process of respiration. Okay, so now I think you understood that what is respiration. Now, types of respiration. So on the basis of presence or absence of oxygen, the first type, it depends on the basis of presence and absence of oxygen. So it's very easy, that oxygen, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So here, in such type of respiration, oxidation of food material takes place in the presence of oxygen, then it is called as aerobic respiration. Okay, and here such type of organisms are called aerobes. And let me give you examples of aerobes are like plants and animals. So we are actually aerobes. And anaerobic respiration, so oxidation of food material which takes place in absence of oxygen, just opposite to it. Okay, then it is called as anaerobic respiration. Here aerobic is mentioned, but it is anaerobic respiration. Okay, and organisms, such type of organisms are called anaerobes, and it takes place mostly in bacteria and yeast, and sometimes in plants and animals also. Okay, so this is the difference between these two, aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Then this aerobic respiration can be of two kinds, and these are external respiration. External respiration, it involves taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. Okay, and it is a physical mechanical process. So it involves taking in an oxygen, and giving out carbon dioxide. When we do this, do you remember that it is at the time of breathing? So it is actually a physical process, or we can say it is a mechanical process, in which taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide takes place. Okay, And this type of process, this external respiration, takes place between the organisms and the atmosphere or in the environment. Okay, so such type of respiration takes place, and we can say that it is an active process because that taking in and giving out, this occur continuously. And that's why it is also called physical process. And it can be passive process if it is about flowering plants, or it is in flowering plants and the simple organisms, it is passive also, that diffusion of gases takes place. So now the next one is internal respiration. Internal respiration, by the name suggests that it takes place inside where it is in the tissues, in the cells. So here, that the simple food is oxidized to release chemical energy. The chemical energy, it means, as I told you, at the time of respiration, so the food, it is getting oxidized. Okay, it means that broken down, and it releases chemical energy, or it releases energy for making of chemicals. Okay, it is a biochemical process, and that's why it is also called biochemical process, as it was a physical, that external is a physical or mechanical process. Internal respiration is a biochemical process because it occurs in the living organisms, and chemicals are synthesized and broken down, and that's why it's also called biochemical process. And this involves so many enzymes in it. It means this involves series of reactions. All of them are catalyzed by specific enzymes, and it occurs in mitochondria. So such reaction or such respiration occurs in mitochondria. Do you know where this mitochondria is present? You have read in the first chapter where it is present. It is present in the cytoplasm of the cell. So yes, and that's why, because it is there in the cell, that's why it is also called tissue or cell respiration. Got it? And one more thing, that energy is stored. The energy release is stored in the form of ATP. Do you know what is the full form of ATP? It is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, so in the form of ATP molecules, energy is released and stored in mitochondria. Let us see the difference between respiration and breathing, because people generally misunderstood respiration and breathing. So let us find out what is the difference between these two. So takes place in all the time, takes place all the time. So this is not a difference. Then what is the difference? Takes place in every cell and takes place in the lungs. So this is that respiration takes place in cell, and that's why I told you that it is also called cellular respiration. And this takes place in lungs, starting from the nostril. So from nostril, the air, that air get into, and then it occupied respiratory tract, and then reach to the lungs. Okay, so this is it takes place in the lungs after that. Okay, and a process that break down food to release energy. So in the respiration process, that energy is released after breaking down the food, or after oxidation of food. But here, that gaseous exchange takes place between the organisms and the environment. Okay, and use oxygen obtained from breathing. So by breathing, because in breathing that exchange of gases takes place, so oxygen is taken in, and carbon dioxide is given out. So it uses oxygen, okay, by breathing, from breathing process. And here takes in oxygen from the environment. Okay, so by environment oxygen is taken in, but by breathing oxygen is utilized. Then produce carbon dioxide. Yes, it produces carbon dioxide, and whatever carbon dioxide is produced, it is removed carbon dioxide. It means it produces carbon dioxide, but this carbon dioxide is not used, after then it is not useful. So by breathing, this carbon dioxide, whatever the carbon dioxide are produced, it is removed by breathing. Okay, so this is the basic difference between respiration and breathing. Then now go to the next topic, and this is overall process. So overall process of respiration. So respiration actually occurs in two phases, that is called breathing and tissue respiration, or I can say external or internal respiration, which we have already discussed. Okay, so respiration is a catabolic process. Catabolic, why it is called as catabolic? Catabolic, it means breaking down of substances. So yeah, here that the breaking down of food into simple substance, okay, and production of energy. So that's why it is called catabolic process. Okay, and during respiration the most common substrate is glucose, though like amino acids like proteins and fats are also broken down, but the common substrate is glucose. And because it takes place in the cell, that's why it is also called cellular respiration, as I already told you. And respiration is a property of both plants and animals. It takes place in plants as well as in animals. And one more thing, that aerobic and anaerobic respiration have a common pathway, and that is called glycolysis. Now, glycolysis is a new term for you. And what is that? After the ending of this video lesson, you will get to know about glycolysis. I'm damn sure. One more thing, that glucose plus oxygen. So glucose plus oxygen, and it forms carbon dioxide and water. So this equation is coming again and again. So what is that equation? So actually, that what has happened, that glucose is like food in the body. So this glucose is glucose plus oxygen. Okay, and here you can see the formula of glucose, C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Okay, and then after that, this is broken down. When it gets oxidized in the presence of oxygen, then it forms 6CO2. Okay, 6CO2 is what? It is nothing, it's just carbon dioxide. And water is produced. So very simple, that when this glucose and oxygen react together, and they form carbon dioxide and water. Okay, with the release of energy, how much ATPs are produced? So it is about 38 ATPs are produced in this reaction. Okay, so this is overall process of respiration. Now, aerobic respiration. So again, aerobic respiration comes, but here we are going to discuss this process in detail. So what do you know about this aerobic respiration? That this respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. Okay, so as it takes place in all the cells, so in which part of the cell? So this respiration takes place not only in cytoplasm, it takes place in mitochondria. If it is about oxygen, then it takes place in mitochondria. Okay, so presence of oxygen is needed, and also it occurs in mitochondria. And the food is completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water. Okay, that the carbon dioxide and water are the end products of aerobic respiration, because after then carbon dioxide and water are not changed into another products. Okay, so these are the end product of this reaction. And along with that, it is highly efficient in comparison to anaerobic respiration, and that's why it releases 38 ATP molecules, which are that's why it is called as efficient, because in anaerobic respiration only 2 ATP molecules are produced, but in this 38 ATPs are produced by one glucose molecule. And this aerobic respiration completed in two phases. So what these phases are? The phases are familiar with us because we know that aerobic and anaerobic. So yes, the first one is called aerobic phase and the second one is called anaerobic phase. So of course, if it is aerobic phase, it means presence of oxygen is needed, and anaerobic, it means absence of oxygen. So I think here anaerobic should come and here an aerobic should come. So by mistakenly, that there is a mistake here. That first one is anaerobic phase, and after that oxygen is needed, then it comes to the aerobic phase. Okay. So what has happened in the anaerobic phase? Two molecules of pyruvic acids are produced. Students, till yet this was so easy, that the video was so easy, but now this video is not going to be difficult. It's about like now you are a 9th class student, so it will be somehow more deeper. Okay, so let us see that what they are talking about. So aerobic respiration is that in anaerobic respiration, two molecules of pyruvic acids are produced. First of all, this anaerobic respiration. Actually, this is anaerobic, I'm again telling you. So, in anaerobic respiration, this takes place in the cytoplasm. Okay. So, if you remember the picture, the diagram of cell. So, in the cell, there is a cytoplasm. So, this takes place in the cytoplasm. Okay. And then from one molecules of glucose, two molecules of pyruvic acids are produced. These pyruvic acids are also called pyruvates. So two pyruvates are produced. Okay. Then In aerobic respiration, this is aerobic, okay? So in aerobic respiration, pyruvic acid is completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water, because here there is a presence of oxygen. So it is a second phase of aerobic respiration, which requires or which needs oxygen. And in the presence of oxygen, this pyruvic acid, which is formed in phase 1, okay, so this is broken down into carbon dioxide and water, okay. And this aerobic respiration is also called glycolysis, okay. And this anaerobic phase is also said as Krebs cycle, on the name of scientist Krebs, because scientist Krebs has discovered it, okay. And as it is takes place in the cytoplasm, that anaerobic respiration takes place in cytoplasm, aerobic respiration takes place in mitochondria, okay. So inside the cell there is a cytoplasm, okay, so where anaerobic respiration phase occurs in the absence of oxygen. And after then, in the mitochondria, it means in the cytoplasm there is a mitochondria also, which is one of the cell organelle, you know it, okay. So in the mitochondria, oxygen is there, and where this further breakdown of pyruvic acid takes place, okay, which forms the end product carbon dioxide and water. So let us again see the same equation. Now, students, you should have learned this equation. Okay, and what is that? C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Okay, that is the formula. C6H12O6 is the formula of glucose, and then oxygen is there. Okay, and which forms carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Actually, aerobic respiration is not as so easy. There are different intermediary products are formed, but what is the starting product and what is the end? What is the starting reactant and what is the end product? We are going to discuss this only. So, glucose, oxygen, and then which produce carbon dioxide, water, and in energy. How many ATP molecules are produced? Remember, it is 38 ATP molecules are produced at the end of aerobic respiration. Okay, in which organisms this aerobic respiration takes place? It takes place in all higher organisms, including plants and animals, we human beings also. Then let us see the picture. Here you can see glycolysis. So glycolysis, now you get to know about glycolysis. You already known about it. Glycolysis is that which is anaerobic phase, first phase, okay. So this glucose is converted into pyruvic acid in glycolysis, okay, and which produce two ATP molecules. Along with that, when it enters, this is consider that this is the whole slide is cytoplasm, okay. So in the cytoplasm this glycolysis occurs, okay. After then, that Krebs cycle is there, okay. So Krebs cycle is what, as I told you, that the further that breakdown of that pyruvic acid takes place, and which forms carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay, one more thing here which is important, and that is acetyl coenzyme A. Acetyl coenzyme A. This is the link between the glycolysis, or we can say anaerobic and aerobic phase. Okay, so acetyl coenzyme A takes the pyruvic acid to enter into the Krebs cycle, and there are so intermediary products formed. But at the end, what is going to form? Carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay, so this occur in that aerobic phase occurs in the mitochondria. This is the structure of mitochondria. I think you know about it. And this is the part of cytoplasm. This is the whole part of cytoplasm. Okay. So this is about aerobic respiration. And for that, oxygen is needed. One more thing, that in the mitochondria, that oxygen is needed. Then only this process completed. Okay. Now, anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration, as the aerobic respiration occurs in mitochondria, anaerobic respiration which occurs in cytoplasm, okay. And you also know that anaerobic respiration, it means absence of oxygen. So in the previous, in that aerobic respiration, there are two phases. Don't confuse between aerobic phase and anaerobic phase, and aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Okay. In aerobic respiration, there are two phases also, which includes two phases also. One in the absence of oxygen, and second one in the presence of oxygen. Okay. And here it is different, that it is aerobic respiration, which does not need oxygen at all. And such type of reaction is that it takes place in the absence of oxygen, and mostly it takes place in the yeast and bacteria. And in such type of respiration, actually the food is completely oxidized. So in aerobic respiration, food is completely oxidized into carbon dioxide and water. But here, that the in anaerobic respiration, there is incomplete oxidation. Okay, so complete oxidation takes place in aerobic respiration, and incomplete oxidation takes place in anaerobic respiration. Okay. And then what are the end products of this? So end products are lactic acid or ethyl alcohol. And one more thing, that only two ATP molecules are produced. Okay, so this is not as efficient as aerobic respiration. And why it is so? Because here there is an absence of oxygen, but aerobic respiration, as it is, takes place in the presence of oxygen, and that's why 38 ATPs are produced. Okay, so as it takes place in, as I told you, that it takes place in the plants and yeast and bacteria. Okay. And during anaerobic respiration, glucose is first broken down to pyruvate. So glucose is actually broken down to pyruvate, and then pyruvate further break down continuously and form alcohol, ethyl alcohol. Okay, and carbon dioxide. So this is the reaction that takes place here. Okay, let me show you that how. So in yeast cells, in which organism that alcohol is formed, ethyl alcohol is formed, and in which one that lactic acid is formed? So let us see it. In yeast and plants, the pyruvate is broken down into ethyl alcohol. You can see that this glucose which converts into pyruvic acid in the glycolysis, which takes place in the cytoplasm. Then after then, this pyruvate converts into alcohol. Okay, this alcohol, which alcohol it is? Ethyl alcohol, and carbon dioxide is produced. Okay, in yeast and plants. Okay, and in animals, pyruvate is broken down into lactic acid. See, in animals, that pyruvate is broken down into lactic acid. You can see this C3H6O3. This is the formula of lactic acid, and also with that, two ATPs are produced. And here also that two ATPs are produced. Okay, so in both conditions, whether it is ethyl alcohol or it is lactic acid, whatever it is formed, two ATP molecules are produced. Okay. So the basic difference is that about energy, about ATP molecules between anaerobic and aerobic. So in aerobic, 38 ATP molecules are produced, and in anaerobic, 2 ATP molecules are produced. Got it? Here you can see ethanol pathway and lactate. Ethanol is actually ethyl alcohol. So how ethyl alcohol is produced? So glucose, which converts into two molecules of pyruvate, okay, and then intermediary products are formed, which you don't need to learn. Then after that, ethanol is formed. Okay, so from glucose, it break down into pyruvate, and then ethanol is formed. And for that, there is no need of oxygen. And one more thing, that carbon dioxide is also produced. So ethanol and carbon dioxides are produced, and this carbon dioxide is not then broken down into any substance, and that's why we can say that carbon dioxide is produced. But this acetaldehyde is again formed into ethanol. Okay, so end products are ethanol and carbon dioxide in alcohol fermentation. And what about lactic acid fermentation? So that glucose is then converted into again two molecules of pyruvate, as it is here, and then after that there is no intermediate products formed, as like here there is an intermediate product formed, but here there is no formation of intermediate products. Then it forms lactic acid. Okay, or it is also called lactate. So lactic acid is formed in the animals or in the human beings when we do vigorous exercise. Okay, when we continuously do exercise, so that time the need of oxygen, or we can say that the demand of oxygen is much more than the supplied oxygen, and that time our body, or I can say that our muscles respire anaerobically, and that time it produces lactic acid. Okay, and this lactic acid causes muscles fatigue. Okay, muscles to get fatigue, and when we take rest, so that time again the respiration becomes normal, the oxygen, we get proper supply of oxygen, then this lactic acid is removed by the body. Okay, and then again the formation of carbon dioxide and water takes place, which we can say that the complete oxidation of food takes place. Okay, so now I think you get to know about all this ethanol and lactate pathway. This is a summary what we have learned in this video, that glucose. Okay, and this is cytoplasm. So glucose, and in the cytoplasm it is broken down into pyruvate. Okay, here that glycolysis takes place, and in the glycolysis it forms pyruvate, or we can say pyruvic acid. How many molecules of pyruvic acids are formed? Two. Then um, no oxygen, it means anaerobic respiration. If it is anaerobic respiration, then ethanol or lactic acids formation takes place. Okay, and if it is in presence of oxygen, then it takes place in mitochondria. And what is the connecting thing between them? What is the connecting product? That is acetyl coenzyme. So acetyl coenzyme takes this to the mitochondria, and here that ATPs are also produced. Here 2 ATP molecules are produced. Here 36 ATPs molecules are produced. 2 and 36 becomes 38 ATPs are produced in aerobic respiration. If it is solely anaerobic respiration, then only 2 ATPs produced, and here that 36. Okay, then a difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So student, this is for you. Just read all the points properly. Aerobic and anaerobic, all I have explained. This is a summary of the chapter. You can take a snapshot of it. So this is about the whole video. I hope you understood. And if not, students, one thing I wanted to tell you, that this is a chapter which you cannot grasp in one go. And if at the end of the video lesson you grasp it in one go, you know all the points correctly, then it's very good that you are actually that so intelligent, and you are grasping power or catching power is so good. Okay, so I'm happy for that. And if it's not, the video is there, you can watch it several times. Okay, and till then, good day, keep studying, and have a nice day. Bye bye.